This is Synopsis, a series of conversations in the framework of Abeceda Institute. My name is Neža Zupanc, and with me today is Julienne Tsang. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me. This is always fun to get to talk and talk about my practice and talk about music in general.
And thank you for taking the time to join. I would first ask for a short introduction, specifically with some emphasis on music composition, how you got there.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Julienne K. I am a composer currently based in New York City. Um, I've been, let's see, I think I've been out of school for a couple years now. So, I've been kind of recentering myself and figuring out my place in the world, doing the adult things like figuring out rent and day jobs. So I daylight as an arts administrator. So in my free time, I am doing my best to continue my compositional craft and everything. The past couple of years have been mostly focused on musical theater and opera, but I still do love to write for contemporary chamber ensembles and music. So it's my compositional practice is really just anything that sparks joy and inspiration in the moment, and it's very loosey goosey sort of practice I have going on now. But at least I'm still writing, so we'll take that.
Well, how and when did you get to start composing? At least, in let's say this sense is we mostly know composition as.
Yeah. So I've been doing music since I was like 7 years old. So I did some singing lessons when I was younger. I was in the church choir, and then sort of kind of morphed into me. Being more interested in music, of course, the piano lessons, and then, my main instrument is clarinet, so I started focusing on that, and then I was involved in like jazz band and everything. So I've sort of been accumulating a lot of different like styles and genres as I've been growing up. I think how I got started in composition specifically, I had a friend, or I have a friend actually, we're still quite close, and we still do a lot of collaborations, but I have a friend who approached me in high school and said, "Oh, I am kind of gonna start writing this web series to like publish on YouTube, and I know you're like taking this like um, electronic music class. So do you want to try writing the music for it?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll try. That seems like a lot of fun." And then that's kind of how I got the bug there. I was writing this music for this web series, and I was like, "Oh, maybe this is a thing I can just do." So for a while, I actually wanted to become a film composer, and it was just a lot of writing and things from there. And then when I got to undergrad, I attended the State University of New York at Fredonia. So that's a small school about an hour south of Buffalo, New York. Very great music program, very large music education program, but they do also have a strong composition program as well. And the curriculum there was very, how do I put it? I'd say diverse. So the makeup of the curriculum was there were four studio teachers, and instead of having one studio teacher that you would stay with the entire period you were in school, you would actually hop around and learn from the different instructors. So there was an instructor that mostly specialized in film composition and like large orchestral arrangements, and there was another professor who did a lot of the audio engineering and worked a lot with sound and like technology, and then two others, or one other who focused on opera and more contemporary style, and then another one who kind of did a large swath of styles. So for me, that diversity was really great because it was good to kind of like know about like the other styles and like how else like I could kind of shape my compositional career in a way. And I did eventually did try out some of the more like professional like film composition experience and everything, but I kind of found that for me while it's great, it can be a little limiting sometimes. I like to have a little bit more like freedom and like with the timing and like where to go with the music, and with film or like TV shows, typically you're constrained to the specific editing of the scene. So I just it's fun to write for those sorts of movies and TV, but I do find I want a little more control over the pacing of my music. So I kind of found myself more drawn to chamber music and everything like that. But you know, I still loved like writing for like narratives and stories, so that's how I kind of found myself being drawn to theater and opera, because you still have that story, but I guess it's could be a little more looser with like the pacing, because you're not constricted to the specific like editing for the film.
Okay, so the clarinet explains the ... and beyond, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I thought she loves clarinet.
Yeah, no, I'm quite biased towards clarinet, indeed. Yeah, yeah. So
Pardon,
and beyond
they,
is
yes.
No, all good. I guess for context, I go by pronouns. I'm they, she, it. That's because I sort of identify myself on the non-binary gender fluid sort of spectrum. You know, with the rise in like women composers and the diversity and everything, you know, I think part of that got me thinking like, do I really like subscribe to this? I mean, this is like kind of off topic about gender, but it's also important to talk about the diversity in like music composition and or just the music field in general. I mean, this world is like a spectrum and holds so many unique personalities and individuals, and I think it's really important that our field can also reflect that as well. And this was a big thing in my school actually, because the Institute for Composer Diversity was based at my undergrad university, so I had a lot of lectures and talks about you know, making sure like, you know, we push for diversity and equity in the field, and like how can we take better measures and steps to make sure that everyone's represented in the field. So I think from an administration standpoint, that's affected me a lot, because not only am I a person of color, so that affects like how I do, but it's also because I think it's really important that we're always mindful, especially when it comes to programming and considering these like aspects of like festivals and commissions and everything, that we, you know, take into account, you know, that we're representing everyone in the field, and that it's based upon merit, and there are no like biases that prevent certain people from gaining important experience that they deserve. So yeah, sorry, that was a tangent. What were we talking about again?
Sorry, we were at the introduction.
Oh boy, we're only at the introduction.
For now, but it's good. It's good to hear. Following up to the compositional practice itself.
Yes.
What if we start with perhaps a general question? What is it that is most important to you when you compose? You briefly, I addressed this already in the introduction.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, it really depends on like the project itself. Like, sometimes I'll have like a specific like idea or message I want to convey through music, and I'll do a lot of like careful planning and thinking like, what's the best way to like represent this, or methodologies and like practices. Like, is this like best as like an avant-garde like contemporary chamber sort of piece, or does this need to be like fully fleshed out into like a full opera narrative with like writing and like a whole stage sort of staging and set design and everything? And sometimes it's I have a silly idea, and maybe I should just run with it. For example, one of the pieces I shared with you, Joy as Medicine, that kind of came about because I had the idea of, what if I just get a bunch of recordings of my friends' laughter and do something fun with it? So, you know, very simple idea, but like, you know, simple ideas can like blossom and bloom into something a little more like in-depth and bigger. So that's always kind of fun.
What does the person say at the beginning that is then muffled in
yeah, so I
read funny haha laughter.
Yes, it is funny, haha, laughter, yeah. Because the ask was mostly just me texting my friends. Oh, can you just send me a audio clip of you saying, like, laughing or
This
something?
person was not very enthusiastic.
No, Lucy, she did a great job. It was just the audio clip in the beginning, but like the actual laughter she gave me was
Okay.
very boisterous
I'm not
and fun.
doubting. I'm not doubting.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
I thought the rhythm was brilliant of
Yeah,
that.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, I think that's the fun thing about working with less melodic ideas in content is that you have to like kind of think about the different parameters, like what's the rhythm of like the laughter that you're working with, or what's the timbre, and then like once you're working with like the timbre and like the rhythm, then it's like though then you can think about things like, oh, how does it like fit in like with other people's laughter, and then from there it's like, oh, now how can we like push it even further and use technology to like either kind of raise pitches or like reverse the audio clip so you have like the inverse of the timing and the the pitch content of the clip. So that's kind of
Right.
like fun to play around with too.
So you said, okay, this is a piece that doesn't have a score, at least not a traditional score.
Yeah.
However, in a sense, like if you had to say the score, what would the score be? It's still composed, right? In a sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess like if I really wanted to, so I made the piece using Logic Pro X, so that's a digital audio workstation, and I could have technically just like screenshotted the work itself, and you could consider that maybe a graphical score, because then you'd be able to see like the audio clips and like how they like time out with each other, but at the same time you don't really get to see like the actual like, oh, this clip is like actually pitched up, or this one's like in reverse, or I've cut and spliced this specific sound to like repeat multiple times. So I mean, I guess if I were to like do a graphical score, that'd be a possibility. That would be interesting, actually, maybe if I did a separate graphical score and gave it to musicians and said, "This is supposed to represent laughter. Do your best to
So
recreate this in a way."
perhaps what I'm asking about more is the what would be the composition note, quote unquote. What is the substance, the essence of that composition? Because
Yeah.
it's very it makes you laugh, you know.
Yeah, exactly. The title is Joy as Medicine, because people say laughter is the best medicine, and again, this was just me asking my friends for their laughter, but as I was working on it, I would also find myself laughing, because it's me hearing my friends' joy and their laughing. So it was kind of like a fun echo chamber of like, oh, I get to hear all my friends' laughter, but there's also sort of a creepy element to it as well, because
Yes,
of
there is,
how like
there is, yeah,
because of how like edited everything is.
yeah, the chamberness of it.
Yeah, like it's like a almost sort of like I can't help but laugh, because it's sort of like a natural human phenomena to like hear other people laugh and like reciprocate it as well, but it's also like, oh, it's creepy because it's like stretched out and like all these other funny effects on it, so it's like uncomfortable laughter in a
Yes,
way.
yes.
um yeah, but again, this is one of the concepts that was just like a really simple idea. Maybe I mean, if someone were to listen to it and like find like a really impactful, deep like message to it, kudos to them. But sometimes for me, it's like this is just something silly I wanted to do, and I like I like how it ended up. Art can be deep, but I think sometimes art can not be deep and just be what it is as well. Again, like all things, it's a spectrum,
Mhm,
and sometimes simplicity is good.
mhm, mhm, mhm. I thought at first it's gonna be a techno track.
Oh, no, not a techno track, not a techno track.
And because that's 160 BPM circa that was at the beginning, the sound.
Oh,
Yeah. Anyway, to that. Okay, so That's joyous medicine. What about ... and beyond?
Yes, and beyond. So that was a piece commissioned by the senior clarinet studio. So when I was in school, it was required, even though I was a composition major, it was required for us to take about 3 out of the 4 years to study our main instrument. So I grew really close with my peers and everything who were the same age as me, because we entered school together. We had to play in a lot of ensembles and the recital seminars and everything together. So we sort of bonded in that way because we're peers. And as I think I mentioned this before, but the school I went to has a really large music education program. So I think, if not all, most of the clarinetists in my age group, they were all going to be teachers. So they, because we all went to school together, they knew I was a composer. They were like, "Oh, we'd love for you to write this piece for us to kind of send us off into the world and everything." So and beyond was kind of my way of kind of saying thank you for everything. I want to send you off into the world with all this joy and inspiration that I know you have inside you, and that I know that you're going to share with the students you're going to teach. Because when I was in high school, I want to say a lot of my band teachers encouraged me to be an educator as well. It's not really the path for me, but I really do have a lot of respect for educators because it's a tough job, and at least here in the U.S. The pay isn't super great, so it really is a passion project for them, and I just wanted to give them well wishes. So the idea for And Beyond, there's this sort of constant I don't know if ebbing and flowing is the correct word, but I wanted to have this sort of electricity and energy that was kind of bubbling underneath, and by the end of the piece I wanted to create this sense of this energy is finally being released, and it's pushing all of my peers off into the world, into greater ventures. So that was sort of the concept I had for the piece.
Do you have, with let's say this kind of chamber works, a method or something that you generally stick to, some categories you always attend to in a certain way? Is there a way of work that you usually apply?
Yeah. For me, I guess, again, it usually depends on the project. Sometimes it will be very melody focused, and I'll melody would come to my mind, and it's oh, let me see how I can kind of best use this melody and stretch it out. I think for this piece specifically, because I'm also a clarinetist, I just thought, what do I like to play on the clarinet, and what's fun for me? And because we all play the same instrument, I also kind of knew intimately what would be pedagogically more fun to play and do, and what would be challenging and what would be easy, and kind of thinking about it from that perspective, just what do I like and what do I know feels fun and good for clarinetists to play. So it's very scalar, very lot of fast runs and riffs in the piece. So just kind of basing it off of that, and again, that's kind of where that contained energy that bursts out at the end kind of comes from. So just that kind of concept, and then from there it was okay, and I've got these fun scales in here, kind of add this melody in there as well. I think I also like to play around a lot with rhythm and hemiola. So there are a lot of moments where you'll kind of feel this 3/2, 2/3 feeling, just because I personally, maybe it's a crutch even, but I love to write a lot with hemiolas, and just kind of playing with the sense of pulse and rhythm, and just kind of again, kind of that sensation of the energy is there, but almost being held back in a way, sort of that the feeling when you're trying to run really fast, but some force is like holding you back, and when it finally lets go, you just shoot off. So I kind of like playing with like rhythm and meter for that sense of momentum, I suppose.
Curious. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess certain instruments of notation, of scoring, do have at least an effect that is sometimes more, sometimes less, in this case more prevalent.
Yeah.
When you think about that.
Yeah, I know because I'm a woodwind player, so I feel like whenever someone asks me to write something for woodwinds, I get really excited because it's like my bread and butter. But when I'm asked to write for strings or brass, it's like, I'm gonna have to do a little more research and studying because there have been moments where it's like I write something that sounds and looks really good on a score, and then I give it to a performer, and they're like, "What is this? I don't know what you've written here." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I have to try again." But you know, I always like a challenge, and I think you, at least for me, and how do I put this? I guess there are people or composers and performers who like to write, who like to challenge themselves and like to specifically write music that kind of pushes the what's the word for it? Just kind of like not the narrative, but like kind of the level, I suppose, pushes like the level of like how we perceive music or how we play an instrument. And I've like explored a little bit of that, but I think for my own compositional practice, I've found that I think for me, I kind of resonate more with writing music that's more focused on the message and the themes, I suppose. And then in a way, when I do think about like pushing those like levels of like how can we kind of expand the idea of what music is, for me it's more so like incorporating different artistic aspects of music. So for example, I didn't send this to you because I'm kind of still waiting on the recording for this, but I wrote a solo oboe piece that kind of incorporates like body movement and acting and like speaking in this piece. So again, like musical theater opera, kind of like incorporating more of those elements into like a contemporary like chamber setting. So for me, that's kind of like when I think about pushing the musical envelope for myself, at least, and how to redefine performance, I kind of think more about like what are other like aspects of the arts out there. So I'm also an illustrator, so something I've also been wanting to explore is how can I like best incorporate like art and visuals into music. So for me, it's like exploring like different like elements and adding to the concert, rather than just thinking like how do I push the music itself. And people who push the music themselves, I have a lot of respect for them, and they're great at what they do, and I believe in them. But we all have our niches, and this is the niche that I fill.
Okay, so message themes, you mean themes like subjects or themes like melodic themes?
Yeah, I'd probably say like narrative, like story themes, but in a way, I think I do sort of, I have a tendency to do leitmotifs a lot, so sometimes I'll like kind of have like again, coming from like a musical theater opera background, it'll be like, oh, this is like a specific theme or character, and like whenever there's like a piece or a song like that encompasses that like theme, this little leitmotif will sneak in there. So I guess in a way it is both of the theme in a melodic sense and theme in like a narrative sense.
And then further to okay, when speaking of pushing the boundaries, where can you offer exact example and also perhaps elaborate more on how do you do it in the context of what is already there, what you're trying to I guess expand there?
Yeah, I guess like in a way, like I have a few friends who are like more so interested in like, like when when I think of like people who are like pushing the boundaries of like what like how to use the instruments. I think of a professor from university. Her name is Jamie Lee Sampson, and a lot of her studies, because she's a bassoonist, so a lot of her studies will go into like multiphonics and like how to extend techniques for that, and I guess in a way just and then like a lot of people I met at the festival this past summer. They had like a lot of like different ways and like concepts of approaching music, which I thought was very interesting. I can't bring anything specific to mind, but it
Perhaps
was
more
all
on your own works, on your own practice. You already mentioned illustrations. If I understand correct, an attempt to expand, right?
yeah, yeah, in a way. I guess like when I think about it, really, I suppose it's like bringing more theatrical elements into the concert setting, because you know like you go to the, at least for me, like because I'm based in New York City, you go to the Met Opera or you go on Broadway, there's like these like larger than life, you know, sets and everything, big costumes. Not that I'm expecting my trombonist to like put on clown makeup and perform a piece, but you know I think Barrio already did that technically. Just like in a way sort of enhancing like the music in a way, because for me I've always sort of felt, I don't know if bored's the right word, but my brain operates in a way where if it doesn't reach like a certain threshold of like activity, I can zone out pretty easily. But I feel like for me, when like you add different aspects to a performance instead of simply just watching an ensemble like playing on the stage, I think incorporating different elements to like kind of drive interest and draw an audience in, I think that really attracts me. I think I want to say one of the accordion performances at the festival this past summer, there was like an aspect of like walking in movement, if I remember correctly, which you know, it's just like such a small thing, just walking around on the stage, but it was enough to like keep me like extra engaged in the performance. So for me, it's just thinking about ways to keep up the engagement, but also kind of like enhance like what's going on musically. Just because you know sometimes people are tired, or they require, like me, they require like a certain amount of activity going on to fully engage cerebrally. So I mean, it's just like a personal experience thing, which is why maybe that sort of adding an extra element draws me to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It sounds practical then,
Yeah.
right? In a sense. And since we're here with, at the theater as well, perhaps a couple of words to the operating systems and artificial songs.
Yes, yes. So this was an operetta that I wrote for a virtual festival my friend was hosting, and the theme was technology and horror. So the story follows an AI that kind of gains sentience and humanity, and most of the operetta kind of follows that sort of like that internal like turmoil that the main character has about, now that I'm fully conscious and kind of have this conscience, now that I kind of see how my existence impacts the world, how do I kind of grapple with the fact that I was made to help and serve and love these people, but like my existence only really harms them. So it's just that sort of like inner fight, I suppose, that the main character has. And for the production, I actually wrote two different endings, and
They're very different, right?
yes, the two endings. So the endings were chosen based on audience vote. So they were given a question, which is what is love, and then they either chose trust or they chose perseverance. So in the trust ending, the AI decides that it doesn't need to exist any longer. It's going to put its trust in humanity to kind of solve its own problems and to kind of like find their way through life. And in the perseverance ending, the AI decides this can be something good. There are flaws in me, but maybe we can work together to create something new and something beautiful. So in that ending, the AI sticks around to stay with humanity. And in my head, I kind of feel like the first ending, the trust ending, where the AI decides to delete itself, is the canonical ending. But as I was writing it, I was like, oh no, I've grown attached to this AI with a personality. Oh no. So now I felt like I had to write an ending where there was a sort of happier end in a way. But yeah, I mean, I'm personally anti-AI. I mean, I think it's like a tool that could be used, but I think personally, I think it's something that's still very much in the works and has a lot of ethical and environmental issues that still need to be worked out before it can be rolled out onto like a bigger platform. But for this story, I wanted to focus on the AI as more of a character with that, again, that inner turmoil. I wanted to kind of create a sense of how do I say, just the morality of it, and like what would happen if one day your refrigerator got a personality, and it's like, oh, the crippling responsibility of needing to feed the human who keeps the electricity on and everything, I guess. But yeah, that was the concept behind it.
Right. It did seem quite human, the way it thought and continued to develop its thoughts, the AI, and
Yeah.
of course with the human voice, right?
Yeah, exactly. There were some concepts where I wanted to use a synthetic voice, but I thought ultimately it would sound better with a human voice, and the singer who sung the AI's voice did a wonderful job. Yeah, I think, and also because it was like a virtual sort of festival and everything, like there was like staging and everything, and it had a director and everything, so the singer was also the actor, and we got to have a lot of fun with that, like from a production standpoint, because like everything was kind of like done in a home studio with like a green screen background, and sort of a small theater can be a little scrappy, but I think there can be a lot of cool things done, like even when you have a low shoestring budget and everything. So that's a fun experience to have, I think.
So with this opera and also in general, as much as I've come to know about your practice or learn about your practice, the message and the idea are really important.
Yeah, I'd probably say so.
So I would say what is a curious would be a curious insight also would be then for you to speak what do you see for yourself as an ideal position of a composer and the outlook to the world around it.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to phrase it, I guess. So you're asking,
it
like,
makes more sense. Perhaps rephrase it. It's maybe also just the language barrier.
no, it's all good. So I guess like do you mean like my personal like ideals and outlooks on the world, or like in general, like maybe
As a composer,
Okay,
what do you see for yourself? How do you wish to connect the outlooks to the music? It seems that it's quite close. It seems that it's very important for you to put out your views also through composition?
Yeah. I think a big thing for me would be, I guess, the concept of escapism. Again, I love like using narratives and stories to like convey a message. Some people can be a little more, I guess, blunt about it when they say this is a piece about like climate change and like how it's affecting us, and I'm like, yes, beat us over the head with the fact that we're slowly killing our planet and we need to do something about it. But for me, I like to sort of sprinkle in messages like through narrative and story. So again, that sense of like escapism, like it's beyond us and it's like in a different world, but it's also us in a way, like with the AI, like this. Hopefully, none of us are AI, and we're just
None of us do.
I don't know. We don't know. Yeah, I could be speaking to AI right now. It's so scary. But like this is like the character, but in a way you can kind of like
Today you
relate
would
to
still
like
know.
the
Today you would
themes.
still know you're speaking
Yeah,
to AI.
that's true. That's true. But
Maybe
you
in a
relate
year.
to themes and everything, and just like
Right.
a sense of like otherworldliness. And again, like as someone who's also an illustrator, I've also been really inspired by like other, and someone who wanted to be a film composer, I'm obviously inspired by like other pieces of media, and that like kind of influences a lot of the way I like think about story and think about conveying messages. So I think for me, like again, creating that sense of like escapism, like it's you but it's not exactly you, because the world can be dark and dire, and it's important to have like your feet on the ground and be realistic. But I think it's also important to sort of have like a whimsy about you. I had a coworker at my last job, and something she would say a lot was, "We live in hell, cling to joy." And I've kind of taken that to heart because life can be really tough, and there are you know bad things happening every second of every hour of every day. But at the end of the day, we're all just individual humans, and it's important for us to like keep hope and cling to that joy. So even though like sometimes I'll write sort of like creepy sounding music like joy is medicine or and everything, I still kind of want to convey that sense of like escapism and whimsy for people to kind of have a moment of like respite from all the bad things happening in the world. And I think that's kind of what I want to aim for as a composer, is just kind of give people the opportunity to step into new concepts and worlds, for them to maybe they'll take away a meaningful lesson that they can bring into real life, or it could just be like, oh, this was like 5 to 10 minutes of some fun romp in audio world or something like that, and call it a day. But either way, for me, it's like I want to bring like another, just again, it's just that sense of like whimsy and fun to someone, even if just for the duration of the piece. If not, maybe the rest of their lives, if they take away a message that resonates with them.
Right. Okay, another aspect as an illustrator. Um, how how do you look at music as an illustrator? What do you learn something special there about music?
Yeah, I mean, so actually when I was younger, I wanted to be an animator. And then as I started getting more into music, that's when that flip kind of, that switch kind of flipped. But it kind of like never left me in a way. So I think when I was maybe like 7 or 8, I'd be like, I wanted to be a comic artist, and then I wanted to be an animator. So, again, like that aspect of storytelling was always in there, but like through a visual medium. And now I was doing it through music, and now it's like, oh, what if I did both of them at the same time? And that's where like the musical theater opera sort of bug has bitten me, because I can hit so many birds with a single stone. How fun is that? But yeah, I think like from like an illustrator standpoint, like I don't know, I guess it always depends, I suppose, because again, like my how I approach music is from like a storytelling narrative perspective. So in a way, there's also that the visual, like sort of like a see like small animations or comic strips like kind of like playing in my mind as well. And for some pieces I'll have like my own like interpretations of what it is, but I often won't share them, mostly because I think it's much more interesting to see like how an audience interprets a piece. For example, I wrote a piece a while ago as a piano quartet, so violin, viola, cello, and piano. And the piece was called Dreams Amongst the Sea, so it was kind of like this idea of like a big pirate ship like rocking against the waves, and it was just like kind of like a sort of dreamy, like magical seascape realm or something. That was the visual in my head. And then I had a friend come up to me like describing how they saw the piece, but they didn't see the title of the piece and they didn't read the program notes, so they were telling me how they kind of saw it as like a forest adventure between like young children or something like that. And I was like, that's not what I saw in my mind at all, but it was vastly interesting to see like how people can interpret like music and kind of like put their own settings and stories to it.
I remember when I was composing my first series of compositions, and they all had they all have a story behind, and as well as a drawing.
Yeah.
The story, a sort of reasoning of why the story is there, is for the reason that anyway, everyone will make up a story about what's in there. However, everything in the story, as much of things in the story as possible, are completely abstract still. So it's like it's about fictional units in the space, and everything is very vague. Hopefully, and I remember then. Also, the episodes, all of them have just first letters of the title of the story. Oh. So it's only RGLM, you know. And I remember playing one of the episodes to my brother, and his response was like, "Yeah, it's a jungle."
Sometimes it is a jungle.
Sometimes it is a jungle. But anyway, that much to the story, right? And okay, further on, theater. Are any works specifically to do with theater that you could present also here?
Yeah. So I wrote a full-length musical, I think. Let me see. So I think it was 2 years ago now, I was able to present the first act because the second act hadn't been written yet, but now it's fully done. So now I have a full-length musical that's I'm hoping to get like workshopped and everything, and I'm hoping to put a second draft to it. But this musical is called On a Loop, and it's a time loop musical. Haha, funny jokes and everything. So the concept of this musical is basically about an accountant who's kind of living their status quo, living their daily life, when all of a sudden they keep dying at the end of the week, and it's like kind of a mystery about like, how does this like simple accountant like get out of this like time loop, and like how, you know, like when your life's the same thing every day, like how can you even like tell that it's the same thing over and over? Like, do you keep the status quo because you're happy with it, or do you keep the status quo because you're comfortable and kind of don't want to move on with life because something's holding you back? Which that's the more or less the concept of the musical. But writing for it is a lot of fun because it's more like a pop rock sort of style, which I have done like sort of that style, like more so when I was in high school, but you know, when I went to college, it was more so focused on the classical music and everything. So being able to kind of go back to like my roots in a way was really fun. Just kind of and incorporating those elements of like the the chamber techniques that I've learned, and then like also including like, oh, this is a verse, this is a hook. I can't wait to go on rhymezone.com and figure out what rhymes with absorption. So I don't know, it's just like sort of that thing. But yeah, and then again, like with the themes and the leitmotifs, this is an example of a piece that's basically like, yes, this is the time loop theme, and this is the theme of this character, and this is the different themes. So just again, like kind of like using those like classical techniques of like leitmotifs and themes and everything, but like kind of put in the lens of a more like pop rockish sort of style.
Is there any composition that you're currently working on, or and what are the future plans? What do you see, especially something, if you have something that you are really working towards, where do you see yourself going as a composer?
Yeah, so I have a few projects that I'm on. So right now, something I'm actively working on. I was part of a musical theater program last year called Across a Crowded Room. Basically, it's you get paired with a bunch of with like random uh, book writers, librettists, and like lyricists and other composers, and you come together, and then you write a 20-minute musical that goes along with a certain prompt, and then you get to present it like at the New York Public Library. So that's a fun program that I did last year that I'm doing again this year. So we're sort of wrapping up the writing process for that, and then we'll have that 20-minute musical presented in November, I want to say. So that's like a main project that's going on right now. And then I am working with an ensemble called Sputter Box, and then we this is the ensemble is soprano, clarinet, and percussion, I want to say. And basically this piece is a song cycle about nightmares that like I've had in the past, and like each like song cycle will kind of encapsulate the feeling of each nightmare, so we can place the audience in my nightmares. Welcome to my world, everybody. So that's the concept for that. I haven't started on that, but that's another one where it's like me stepping back into more chamber music and kind of using different elements of like maybe fixed media or illustration again to like kind of create this nightmare world for people to step into. And then this is more conceptual and like
Why
fingers crossed.
nightmares?
Why nightmares? It's because the title of the piece is trauma, but it has the umlaut over the U because in German Träume is dreams. So then you switch the E to the A, and that's trauma in English. So it's just a funny play on words, and then I just went with it. Honestly, that's kind of why I, again, going back. Oh, what if I made a piece with all my friends' laughs? Oh, what if I like take this German word and like switch it to an English word, but keep the umlaut, and I just make a piece out of that. So again, like small, simple ideas that spark into something more just because I think it's silly and fun. Yeah, and then an opera that I want to write. And this may be like more of a long-term project, but you've listened to my music. It's very like melodic, and it has like a very like neoclassical style. There's an opera that I want to write that mostly uses set theory and serialism, mostly because I want to write a bunch of like number puns into the narrative, and personally I want to like push myself and write more less in a intuitive way, and kind of be more methodical. And I think like using set theory and serialism will kind of like personally help me push myself as a composer, and also number puns. So that is a project I hope to get to sometime in the future.
So if I understand, it's not about, not necessarily about staying in set theory and serialism, but rather as a step that you consider that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about a step, but sometimes when you write in a certain way for a long period of time, it gets a little stale, and you at least for me, it's been feeling like, oh, I need to kind of push myself as a composer. Like, and I love the things that I do already, and but sometimes it's also like it's worth to kind of like push myself and try something that I haven't done before, even if it isn't successful or I end up going back to what I usually do. I think the notion of like wanting to push oneself is really important, like for personal growth and just compositional growth as well. Because if we stay stuck doing the same things forever, then I guess how can we like change and improve who we are as people? Yeah, I don't know.
Next question is on mentors and specifically or references actually in general. In terms of sources, how do you see sourcing ideas from others and knowledge and what you learn perhaps with a specific person, or what you get to know through listening, through reading music? Is there some key ideas that made an impact on how you compose today?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, and I'm an illustrator, so I've have a lot of inspiration from like films and movies and animation and other media. So for me, a lot of my early inspirations were film composers. So like Joe Hisaishi, who's really famous for composing the music for Studio Ghibli, which is a Japanese animation studio, if you're not familiar. And then another is Michael Giacchino, who does a lot of the music for Pixar. As you can see, I like animation a lot, but it's just those composers like they have that like sense of like whimsy and energy about their music, and they do really well in pacing and like themes for their music, which I really love and enjoy. And then pacing is a big thing for me. And and then Stephen Sondheim, of course, like if you're into musical theater, Stephen Sondheim is a huge prolific name. He's just kind of like paved the way and inspired so many composers, and I am included in that. But just the way he writes melodies, the way he writes lyrics, because he was a lyricist as well. Just the prosody of like how he kind of like naturally kind of like had the melody fit into the words, I think is something that kind of inspires my own lyric and songwriting. So he's definitely a big inspiration for me. Let me think, what other mentors? Of course, I have to give a lot of props to my professors in undergrad. They did such a great job kind of guiding me to where I am, and again giving me that like the diverse sorts of like styles and like exposure to like different things when I was studying with them. So I'm very grateful for that. But I don't know, I guess like it's hard to like kind of pick and like see like what my main inspirations are from, because I've absorbed, like, I like to think at least that I absorb a lot of different perspectives and ideas from a diverse number of different like medias and mediums. But yeah, just kind of for me, I like to try anything once. So I think that mentality has like served me really well, because even if I walk away from something like I didn't like that, I know I don't like it, and it's kind of fun to pick apart like why don't I like it, what doesn't resonate with me that would resonate with another person, and just intellectually that's always kind of fun to do. It's kind of like pick apart like why does this work and why does this not work, at least for me.
Okay, to conclude, I would now just ask you for 2 short messages.
Sure.
This is what I ask every composer in the synopsis. First is for anyone that is aspiring to start composing, and the second one is for anyone that will go and listen to your music perhaps after hearing this conversation.
Yeah. If you are an aspiring composer, I'd have to say, I guess, oh, that's so hard. I don't know. Have fun doing it, I guess. I mean, I'd say that for about anything in life, really. But if you don't derive, like, as long as you can find something fun about a piece or about composition in general, I think that's enough. I think the only person you're really competing with is yourself, and as someone who's had the habit of comparing myself to other people, it's important that at the end of the day, when you're creating in general, whether you're writing music, whether you're painting a piece, whether you are choreographing a dance, as if it resonates with you, I think that's the most important thing. So if it sucks, if you hate it more than you like it, don't do it. But if you can find something fun about it that keeps you there, then keep at it. That's what I'd have to say, I suppose, for aspiring composers. And then what was the second one?
For listeners of your music.
Listeners of my music, I hope you like it. Thanks for listening. No, I think if you listen to my music, I hope I hope it makes you feel better than you did before you walked into it. So if you were having a crummy day, I hope it made you feel a little better. And if you're having a great day, I hope it marginally added to the experience of that day. And if you found a little fun narrative and story in that piece of music, let me know, because again, I love to see how people interpret my music and how my music kind of sparks a seed of story or message into someone. So yeah.
Julienne, Tsang, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.